Let's apply our core essentials to some basic Pilates exercises. Support yourselves coming down into a lying position. Roll over onto your backs. Let's get into that nice neutral position. You want to have the feet facing forwards and the heels of your feet in line with the sitting bones of your bottom. Just relax through the top of the hips. Check you're not gripping any tension through there. Check that the knee joints are in line with your hip bones and that you're relaxed around the bottom. And then just think of allowing the lower back muscles to melt into the floor underneath you. Just check your pelvis is in neutral by bringing the heels of your hands onto your hip bones and your middle fingers onto your pubic bone. Just check those three bones are lying flat. Working up through the body, you want to have that feeling of width or openness across the chest. So if you're rounded shoulder, just bring the shoulders round and out. Just sink the shoulder blades down your back underneath you. Then look up to the ceiling. Notice how the spine of your neck shortens into a reverse C shape. On your next inhalation, lengthen out to the top of the head so that the chin's coming down ever so slightly. The eye line travels across the ceiling and about a third of the way down the wall ahead of you. Now notice how the spine of the neck is long. From there, I want you to inhale down into your tummy, keeping your chest relaxed, and exhale through softly pursed lips. And again, you're relaxing everything through the body, inhaling down into the tummy, tummy's rising, exhaling through softly pursed lips. Now we're going to add on that deep abdominal muscle activation. So you're going to inhale down into your tummy, and as you exhale through softly pursed lips, internally lifting your pelvic floor and drawing your tummy muscles back and wide from in between the hip bones. And again, you're inhaling down, and as you exhale through softly pursed lips, it's like you're fastening up an internal zip and then drawing those muscles back and wide from in between the hip bones. And again, inhaling down. And as you exhale through softly pursed lips, inhaling, drawing back and wide. And one last time, inhaling down nice and low, and as you exhale through softly pursed lips, engaging your pelvic floor, drawing your tummy muscles back and wide. Now we're going to do that, keep those muscles engaged and breathe in and out of the sides and the backs of the rib cage. So inhaling down to prepare, drawing back and wide as you exhale, and now keeping those muscles engaged and drawn back and breathing in and out of the sides and the backs of the rib cage. If you want to bring your hands onto your rib cage to get that feeling, you can do. Remember, you can exhale and draw back and wide a little bit more if you lose some of your connection. So inhaling wide to the sides and back to the rib cage, and exhaling and relaxing. And one last time, inhaling wide and exhaling and relaxing. Let's do that one more time. Bring one hand onto your rib cage and two fingers in and off your hip bones. Inhaling down to prepare. As you exhale, engage your pelvic floor, draw back and wide from in between your hip bones. Keep that pulse feeling under your fingers, and now continue to breathe in and out of the sides and the back to the rib cage. And this is what we're doing through every exercise that we do in Pilates. So for this first exercise, I want you to imagine you've got a pint glass of water on your tummy. You're going to inhale down to prepare. As you exhale through softly pursed lips, engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide. Keep those muscles engaged. Now you're going to inhale and gently bring one knee out to the side, then extend and reach that leg away from you. Roll the leg round from your hips, the toes coming up to the ceiling, and as you exhale, deepen your connection and draw back and wide. So you're looking to keep the stability through your pelvis. So only make the movement as big as you can, keeping your lower back in neutral and your hips level. Let's do it 3 times on each side. Starting with the right leg. Inhale down to prepare. As you exhale, draw back and wide, reach the leg away, the toes coming up to the ceiling. Exhale, deepen your connection and bring the leg back in. Then you're going to inhale down to prepare. Engage through the centre of the body as you exhale. Then inhale and take the leg away, and exhale to slide the leg back in. So we're going to stop and reset. Inhale down to prepare. As you exhale, draw the tummy muscles back and wide as you exhale. Then inhale to bring the knee out. Extend and reach the leg away, roll the leg round from the hip to the toes coming up to the ceiling. Exhale, deepen the connection and coming back to centre. Now let's do the other leg. So you're inhaling down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide. Keep them connected. Inhale to bring the left knee out to the side. Extend and reach the leg away, roll the leg round from the hip so the toes coming up to the ceiling. Exhale, deepening the connection as you come back. And again, inhaling down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide. As you inhale, bring the knee out, extend and reach the leg away. Roll the leg round from the hip, exhaling, deepening your connection as the leg comes back in. Last time, inhaling down to prepare. As you exhale, engage. Keep those muscles engaged. Inhale to bring the knee out to the side, extend and reach the leg away, roll the leg round from the hip. Exhale, deepen your connection and slide your leg back in. So now we're going to roll over onto our sides for a spine rotation. We apply our neutral alignment principles whether we're sitting, standing, lying, kneeling or on our side. So you want to make sure that your bottom shoulder is in line with your bottom hip. Make sure that bottom shoulder isn't too far forwards. Then you want to still think about having your three bones, your hip bones and your pubic bone in the same plane, and make sure that your hips, knees and ankles are stacked on top of each other and that your knees are bent up forwards. Think of lengthening your top hip slightly away from your top rib so that you're not collapsing through the centre of the body. So you may get a slight lift there under your lower back. Then you want to have the arms extended at shoulder height and keep the top shoulder sliding down the back. Now, when we do the spine rotation, it's often more comfortable for the head and neck to have a higher block underneath your head. You can use a pillow, a cushion, or a deep book. Okay, we're just going to demonstrate this exercise for you first. You're going to inhale and float your top arm up to the ceiling. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, and as you exhale, turn your head and open your arm out at shoulder height or slightly higher. Don't allow your shoulder to drop forwards and rotate forwards. Keep it lifted up. Have a feeling of the shoulder sinking back towards you. As you open, the palm stays lifted. Then inhale into the sides and the back to the rib cage. As you exhale, deepen your connection, relax and rotate a little bit further round. Then inhaling into the sides and the back to the rib cage, and on your next exhalation, deepen that connection if you need to, and rotating your arm back across to centre, keeping the shoulder sliding down your back. Let's try that now. So come down onto your side. Check that your bottom shoulder is in line with your bottom hip. Have the hips, knees and ankles stacked on top of each other and facing forwards. Check your top hip is slightly lengthened away from your top rib and that your shoulder is lengthening away from the top of your ear. Arms are extended at shoulder height. Head is on a thick book or a pillow. Inhale now and float your top arm up to the ceiling and turn the head. Engage through the centre of the body, exhaling to rotate and open. Keep that shoulder lifted. Inhaling into the sides and back to the rib cage, and as you exhale, relax. Check your hips haven't rolled back at all. You're keeping the hips forward and lifted. Inhaling into the ribs, and as you exhale, deepen that connection, bringing the arm back across. Okay, it's quite common sometimes for the hips to roll back so that you get more of a rotation, but it's not the objective to get the arm all the way round. We're just trying to get a stretch through the chest and a rotation through the upper spine to keep the lower part of your spine fixed. And again, you're inhaling to bring the arm up to the ceiling, turn the head, engage through the centre of the body, exhale to rotate and open. The arms coming out, shoulder height or slightly higher. Inhaling into your ribs, exhaling, relaxing, just allowing yourself to relax and rotate gradually further. Inhaling into the ribs, check you're still connected through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, have a sense of the muscles through the waist, drawing your arm back across. One last time, inhaling, bring the arm up to the ceiling and turn the head. Connect through the centre of the body, exhaling to rotate and open. Inhaling into the sides and the back to the rib cage, exhaling and relaxing. Good. Inhaling wide, check you're still engaged through the centre of the body, exhaling and use the muscles around the waist to rotate the arm back across to centre. Good. Now let's do it on the other side. Just rolling over onto the other side. Yep. Okay, and checking that you're coming down in that nice neutral position. So the bottom shoulder is in line with the bottom hip, so you want to make sure you're not on a diagonal. Ankles, knees and hips stacked on top of each other, top hip slightly lengthening away from the top rib, top shoulder sliding down away from the ear, head at the front of your book or your pillow. You're inhaling to float your top arm up to the ceiling and turn the head. Engage the pelvic floor, draw the tummy muscles back and wide, exhale to rotate and open. Keep the hips fixed and facing forwards, inhaling wide into your ribs. Exhale, draw back and wide a bit more if you need to, relaxing through the chest. Inhaling wide into the ribs. As you exhale, re-engaging if you need to, drawing the arm back across your body, keeping the shoulder sliding down away from the ear. And again, you're inhaling to bring the arm up to the ceiling and turn the head, engage through the centre of the body, exhale, rotate and open. Just check your shoulder isn't dropping forwards. Keep a sense of the shoulder drawing back towards you. Inhaling and exhaling, inhaling. Keeping that connection as you exhale and bring the arm back across. One last time. Inhaling to bring the arm up and turn. Engage through the centre of the body. Exhale to rotate and open. Inhaling into the ribs. Exhaling to relax, keeping the hips forwards. Inhaling into the ribs. Reconnecting through the centre of the body as you exhale and bring the arm back across. Good. Now we're going to come up onto all fours for a cat stretch. I'm just going to demonstrate this for you first. So again, we're applying our neutral alignment to an all four position now. You want to make sure that your knees are directly underneath your hips. Okay, so maybe bring them slightly further forwards. And then your hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Okay, if you have to have your hands too far forwards, it's going to be harder for you to stabilise through your shoulders. So just check that your lower back is in neutral, that you're not dipping through your lower back, sliding your shoulders down and out, and you want to make sure that the back of your head is long. Okay, so you're not lifted up through the neck. So lengthen through the top of the head. Make sure you're not dropping the head down either. The first thing we're going to do is a general cat stretch just to get the movement right. I want you to inhale down into your tummy. As you exhale through softly pursed lips, engage the pelvic floor, draw the tummy muscles back. You're going to lift up through the tummy and the chest, round down through the head and the hips. Inhale into the sides and the back to the rib cage, and then as you exhale, you're bringing your spine back into a long position, making your the spine as long as you can from the crown of the head down to the tailbone. What you're not doing is dipping through the lower back and lifting the head up. So into this position, I want you to keep lengthened through the spine here in neutral. Once we've done that a couple of times, we're then going to work up the spine in order. What happens with a general cat stretch is that the most flexible parts of your spine will move, but the stiffer parts won't. So what we want to do is to try and get some flexion and some extension at each part of your spine. This requires a little bit more body awareness, and depending on your own natural curves, you'll find it easier or harder in different places. You're going to start by inhaling down into your tummies. As you exhale through softly pursed lips, engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide. Start with the lower part of your spine, keep the upper part still, draw the tummy up and round down through the hips first. Then you're going to come up through the lower part of your spine. Now flex up through the middle part of your back, then through the upper, then lengthening out through the crown of the head. Keep that flexion through your spine and inhale wide into the sides and the back to the rib cage. And now as you exhale, keep the upper part of the spine there first. Lower and lengthen out through the tailbone. Lower and lengthen out through the lower back, through the middle of the spine, through the upper spine. Slide your shoulders out and down your back and bringing the head up last. Okay, let's do that together. So you're going to come down onto all fours, knees underneath your hips, hands underneath your shoulders, making sure your spine is as long as it can be from the crown of the head down to the tailbone. Check your shoulders are gently sliding out and down your back and that the back of the neck is long. Just do a general cat stretch to start with to get that movement. Imagine you've got light shining out from behind you. Inhale down to prepare, connect through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, draw up to the tummy in your chest and now shine those lights down towards the floor behind you. Inhaling widen to the side and the back to the rib cage, and as you exhale, coming back into your neutral spine so the lights are now shining directly behind you again. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling down to prepare, engage through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, draw up to the tummy and the chest, shine the lights down towards the floor. Inhaling widen to the sides, the back to the rib cage, and as you exhale, lengthen all the way through the spine so now the lights are shining directly behind you again. Now we're going to work up the spine in order. If you feel that your hands are starting to hurt, you can either come back, release off the hands, and then come back into it. The other thing that you can do is come onto your knuckles so that your wrists are straight. It's this position here that can aggravate some wrists. So you can just have a straight wrist here. So let's work up the spine in order. You're going to inhale down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide. As you exhale, keep your upper spine still. Draw your tummy up, round down through the tailbone first. Now think of lifting up through the middle of the spine, then through the upper spine, then lengthening out to the crown of the head. Maintain that flexion and inhale wide into the sides and back to your rib cage. As you exhale, keep the upper body where it is. Think of shining those lights to the back of the room behind you. Lower and lengthening out through the middle of the spine, through the upper spine, stabilising your shoulders and lengthening out through the crown of the head. Let's do that again. Inhaling down to prepare, engaging through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, draw the tummy up, round down through the hips first. And you're coming up through the middle of the spine, flexing up through the upper spine, through the collarbone, through the breastbone, lengthening out to the crown of the head. Inhaling wide into the ribs, and as you exhale, shining those lights behind you first, lowering and lengthening out through the hips and pelvis, through the lower back. through the middle of the back, through the breastbone, through the collarbone, stabilising the shoulders, and the head comes up last. Let's try that one last time in the opposite direction. So you're going to inhale down to prepare, engage through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, lengthen out through the crown of the head first, flex up through the collarbone, through the breastbone, through the middle of the spine, draw up through the tummy, round down through the hips. Good. Inhaling widen to the side and then back to the rib cage, and as you exhale, you're lengthening out through here at the top of the head, lowering and lengthening out through the breastbone, through the collarbone, stabilising the shoulders down through the middle of the back, coming back into neutral. Excellent. Now come back onto the heels of the feet and take the weight off of those hands. Okay, and if you want to just stretch forwards, just release through the lower back. Okay, now you're going to come down onto your tummies. Okay, we're going to do an exercise now that will extend through our upper spines. It's a preparation for a breaststroke exercise we do later. You want your hands into what I call the W position. Just check the elbows are just very slightly lower than the shoulders, because that will help you to engage through your shoulder stabiliser muscles. If you are really tight through your lower back, then you can just take your legs slightly apart and turn the toes out to the side of the room. We want to keep our head and neck in its neutral position. That means keeping the back of the head long. So if you've got a thin book or a pillow, you can just bring it right onto the tip of your forehead. Sorry, is that right? And that will help to keep the back of the head long through this exercise. Okay, you're going to inhale down to prepare. As you exhale, engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back towards you. Slide your shoulders gently out and down your back, and then use these muscles to extend up through your upper spine. Keep the back of the head long. Now maintain that position and inhale into your ribs. Make sure you don't lose the connection with the shoulders, and then you're exhaling to keep the length through your spine as you lower back down. One of the frequent mistakes that we see with this exercise is using the head and neck to come up. So avoid shortening through the back of the neck there. You also want to make sure you're engaging those core muscles so that you don't over tighten through your lower back as well. So don't allow that lower back to arch. Okay, so you're going to inhale down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, gently slide your shoulders out and down the back, exhale to extend up, keeping the head stacked on top of the rest of your spine. Maintain that position and inhale wide into the sides and the back to the rib cage. Exhale to keep the length through the spine as you lower back down. Okay, and let's do that again. We're doing this all together. So just check you're in a nice neutral position. Check the back of the head is long. Inhaling down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, gently slide your shoulders out and down the back. Exhale to extend up. Inhaling wide into the sides and back to the rib cage. Exhale to keep the length through the spine as you lower back down. Good. And again. Inhaling down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw the tummy muscles back towards you, slide your shoulders gently out and down the back, exhaling up. So you're not forcing them together, just naturally sliding out and down. Inhaling wide into your ribs, exhaling to keep the length through the spine as you lower back down. From there, we're going to push back into a shell stretch. Now you can bring your hands underneath your chest and have your elbows coming up to the ceiling. I want you to think about keeping your spine long as you push up onto your knees. So you're going to need your core strength and a little bit of arm strength as well. Inhale down into your tummies, connect through the centre of your body, and as you exhale, push up onto your knees, keep the length through the spine, and now sit back on the heels of your feet and just stretch out through your arms. If it's not comfortable for you to come into this position, you can just bring the knees to one side or come into any position that is comfortable. And the same goes for any of the exercises. You can modify them to make them comfortable for yourselves. From this position, I want us to stack up, rolling through the spine in order. I want you to inhale down into your tummies, engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back towards you. Use those muscles now to stack your vertebrae over your hips, lifting and lengthening all the way through the spine, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, floating the head up last, and lengthening out the crown of the head. Good. Okay, now we're going to do an exercise called the 100. We're going to do a preparation for this exercise. It's a very popular exercise in Pilates, and there are numerous steps that we can take as we progress through our DVDs. And this is step 1. Okay, we're going to do it on our knees. So if you just kneel up for me. Okay, so the reason this exercise is called 100 is because you breathe 100 times. Let's think about the breath first. I want you to exhale and empty your breath. Then you're going to sniff into the ribs 5 times and exhale through softly pursed lips 5 times. So it will look like this. Let's just practice that first. Check that you're in a nice neutral position now, but in the kneeling position. So check that those 3 bones are in the same plane, lengthening up through your spine, shoulders are relaxed, sliding down your back of the head is lengthened. Just inhale down into your tummy. As you exhale through softly pursed lips, lift the pelvic floor, soften your tummy muscles back and wide and keep them connected. Empty your breath. Then on your next inhalation, and exhale. And sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. You can bring your hands onto your ribs if you want to get a sense of breathing into the ribs. If you lose a little bit of connection on your inhalation, just draw back and wide when you exhale. Okay, so that's how you connect and breathe at the same time. Now, the last thing we want to do in this exercise is to bring in our shoulder stabilizers. So you're going to have the shoulders gently sliding out and down your back, and you're gently going to pump your arms backwards and forwards. But the reason you're doing it is to keep your shoulders connected. So you don't need to flap as hard as you can. You want to keep the pelvis nice and still, and it's just a small movement. Here, let's try that together. We're just going to do, first of all, with you at home, 30 breaths, and then we'll stop, and then we'll go into it again, okay? So, nice and lengthened through the spine, slide your shoulders out and down your back, check the back of the head is long. Inhaling down into your tummy. Engage the pelvic floor, draw the tummy muscles back and wide, exhale, empty the breath. Gently start pumping your arms. Sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5 and exhale. Sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5 and exhale, 2, 3, 4, last time. Sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5 and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Stay there and inhale. And then exhaling and relaxing. This is a really good exercise for practicing keeping your connection and breathing into the ribs. So you can practice this in between doing these DVDs. Let's do that again, one more time. We'll do it for 50 breaths this time. So inhale down to prepare. Connect through the centre of the body, stabilise through the shoulders, back of the head long, empty the breath. Gently start pumping the arms. Sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5 and exhale. 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 2, 3, 4 last time. Sniff, 2, 3, 4, 5 and exhale. 2, 3, 4. Stay there and inhale. And exhaling and relaxing. Good. Okay, let's come down onto our backs again. So I'm going to teach you a way that you can roll down onto your back safely using your core muscles. If you're doing Pilates because of a lower back complaint, or you've been recommended it by your physios or doctors, you might want to support yourselves coming down at this stage. I'll show you and then you can decide. So you're going to bring 2 hands underneath one thigh, keep the opposite foot in contact with the floor. Inhale down into your tummy, lift the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide. Use your tummy muscles to roll the hips away from your thigh so that the lower back connects with the floor first, safely rolling down onto your back. Now we can try that at home. So, 1 foot's flat on the floor, 2 hands is behind the opposite thigh. Inhaling down to prepare. Engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide and use those muscles to roll your hips away from your thigh so that the lower back connects with the floor first, safely rolling down onto your backs. Good. For this next exercise, we're going to remove the blocks from underneath our heads. We're going to do some hip rolls. So now you don't have a block or book or pillow under your head. You need to consciously think of making sure that you keep the back of the neck long like we did at the start of the class. Check that your pelvis is in neutral. You can bring the heels of your hands onto your hip bones and the middle fingers onto your pubic bone. Check that you're relaxing the muscles through the hips, through the lower back. Feet are facing forwards, heels of the feet are in line with the sitting bones at the bottom. Okay, so you're going to inhale down to prepare. As you exhale through softly pursed lips, gently engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, then sink the hips gently in towards the ribs to activate your obliques. Then as you start to peel your spine up off the floor, distribute your weight evenly through the feet and contract your glutes. Then continue to peel up, keeping the width across the chest, having a nice neutral alignment through your spine. Inhaling wide into the sides and the back of the rib cage, and as you exhale, imagine that you're peeling your spine back down onto the mat, one vertebra at a time and in order. Releasing through your hips, releasing through the glutes, and then bringing the pelvis back into neutral. So we're actually thinking about using the right muscles in the right order. You're starting with your deepest abdominal muscle, then when you sink the hips into the ribs, you're activating your obliques, and then lastly, you're activating your glutes, your bottom muscles. So you start on the inside and you work out. Okay, so let's do that together now. Okay, we want to make sure we fire up the deep abdominal muscle first, then the obliques as the hips come in towards the ribs, and then last of all, the glutes. So you start internally and work externally. So inhale down into your tummies. As you exhale, as you softly purse lips, engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, then sink the hips in towards your ribs, then bring in the glutes. Weight is distributed evenly through the feet. Peeling up, keep lengthening through the back of the head, keep the width across the chest, inhaling into your ribs, and then exhaling to peel back down one vertebra at a time and in order. So, inhaling down to prepare, engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, sink the hips in towards the ribs, then contracting through the glutes as you peel up off the floor. Now imagine you've got a white line of paint running down your spine. As you come down, I want you to make sure that you make that mark all the way down your back. So you're really thinking of bringing the vertebrae down in order all the way through, releasing through the hips, releasing through the glutes. And again, inhaling down to prepare, engaging through the pelvic floor, drawing the tummy muscles back and wide, sinking the hips in towards the ribs, distribute the weight evenly through the feet, contract through the glutes, just come up as far as neutral, make sure the rib isn't lifted. Inhaling, as you exhale, you can imagine you're placing heavy weights down one at a time in order that are hanging off each vertebrae. Release through the hips, through the glutes, and bring your pelvis back into neutral. Good. Okay, now you can bring your heads back onto your blocks or your books or your pillow. Just think about having the back of the head long. Okay, so now you're going to bring your arms up with your palms facing each other. Okay, we're just going to mobilise through the shoulder blades. You're going to inhale to open behind the shoulder blades so that the arms come up towards the ceiling. Then as you exhale, keep the width across your chest, draw your shoulder blades down towards the mat, and then think of sinking the shoulder blades slightly down towards your hips underneath you. So you're inhaling to open and reach up as if you're hugging a beach ball. And then as you exhale, keep the width across the chest and just gently slide your shoulders down your back without forcing down and lifting the rib cage. And one more time, gently inhaling down. And as you exhale, keep the width across the chest, so soften through the elbows, gently opening out through the shoulders. From there, I want you to inhale down into your tummies. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, and as you exhale, keep that feeling of the rib cage pressing down into the mat underneath you. Keep that feeling of the shoulders sliding down your back and bring the arms back towards your ears. Then you're going to inhale into your ribs as the arms come back up to the ceiling. Exhale and bring the arms down by your side. Moving, keeping that lovely neutral alignment. And again, you're inhaling, relax the shoulders, bring the arms up to the ceiling, connect through the centre of your body, and as you exhale, have that feeling of the ribcage pressing down into the back underneath you, bringing the arms back towards the ears, keeping the shoulders sliding down. Inhale into the ribs as the arms come up to the ceiling, and exhale to bring the arms down by your sides. One more time. Inhaling to bring the arms up. Engage through the centre of the body. Exhale, keep the ribcage drawing down as the arms come back towards you. Shoulders are engaged. Inhaling wide into the sides, the back of the ribcage as the arms come up. And then exhaling to bring your arms back down by your sides. Good. Okay, now we're going to come over onto your fronts. So roll over onto your fronts. We can do this exercise together. Okay, so you're going to lie down onto your tummies. I want you to just open the legs slightly and turn the toes out to the side of the room. You can have your head on a thin block or book or pillow if it's comfortable. Okay, so just going to do some single leg extensions. So check that your pelvis is still in neutral. So I want you to just bring your hands on top of each other and rest your forehead on top of your knuckles. Then just make sure you're gently sliding your shoulders out and down the back to keep the shoulder stabilisers engaged. The legs are slightly open with the toes turned out to the side of the room. You're going to inhale down into your tummies. As you exhale, internally lift your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, and this time you're going to engage your glute to reach one leg slightly up, and then have a feeling of somebody pulling your leg away from you, so you're lengthening out from your hip. Then inhaling wide into your ribs, and then exhaling to lower back down. As you do this, you're trying to keep the pelvis stable and you're not letting the hips lift up. So let's do the other leg now. You're inhaling down to prepare. Engage your pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, exhale, engage the glute, and then lengthen the leg away from the hip. So you're using your deep abdominal muscle and your glute, inhaling wide into your ribs, and then exhaling to lower that leg back down. And again on the other side, inhaling down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, exhale, engage the glute, lengthen the leg away from your hip, inhaling wide into the sides and the back to the rib cage, and then exhale to bring the leg back down. And on the other side, inhaling down, connect through the centre of your body, contract the glute as the leg extends up, then gently reaching away from the hip, being careful not to over tighten through the lower back, inhaling into the ribs and exhaling to lower that leg back down. We'll do it one more time on each side. Inhale down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, engage the glute as the leg lifts up, reach it away slightly from the hip, inhaling wide into the sides and the back to the rib cage, keep the shoulders sliding down your back, exhaling to bring the leg back down, and last time, inhaling. Engage the pelvic floor, draw the tummy muscles back and wide, exhale, gently reach the hip away, inhaling wide into the ribs, and exhaling to lower that leg back down. Excellent. Now I want you to bend your knees, and then bring your heels of your feet together. The knees are turned out slightly. We're going to do an exercise now called the heel squeeze prone. You're going to gently squeeze the heels of your feet together. And as you do that, I don't want you to let the hips lift. So don't bring the hips up. You're going to keep the hips nice and neutral. Okay, we're just starting to strengthen the glutes with the core muscles. So you're going to inhale down to prepare. Engage the pelvic floor, draw your tummy muscles back and wide, and as you exhale, gently squeeze the heels of your feet together, contracting through the glutes, keeping the hips where they are. Inhaling wide into the sides and the back to the rib cage, and exhaling and relaxing and releasing. Check the shoulders are still gently sliding down the back at the top of the body. Inhaling down to prepare. Engaging through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, gently squeezing the heels of the feet to contract through the glutes without letting the hips rise up. Inhaling wide into the side and the back to the rib cage, exhaling and relaxing. And one last time. Inhaling down to prepare. Engaging through the centre of the body. Exhale to squeeze. Inhaling wide into the sides and the back to the rib cage. And then exhaling and relaxing. Now lengthen the legs back away from you. Bring your hands underneath your chest with the elbows coming up to the ceiling. You're going to inhale down to prepare. Connect through the centre of your body, and as you exhale, push up onto the knees. Keep a nice neutral spine all the way through the body. Come back onto the heels of the feet and stretch out through the shoulders. Okay, if you're more comfortable, you can just roll over onto your side and support yourselves coming up to sitting and get into any position that's comfortable for you. Now you're going to inhale, connect through the centre of the body, draw your tummy muscles back towards you and use those muscles to stack the vertebrae over the hips, lifting and lengthening all the way through the spine, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, floating the head up last. Okay, now we're going to do a spine twist. Okay, so if you sit on your bottom and lengthen your legs away from you. Now, some people in this position will be able to keep a nice long spine like Charlotte, but other people will grip tension through their hips. So you can come off of a pillow or off of a block or off of a deep book. If you find that uncomfortable, then you can do this exercise with crossed legs. You want to make sure that you're lengthening all the way from the base of your spine, lifting all the way through. So we're applying our neutral alignment positions in a sitting position now. Roll the shoulders up, slide the base of your shoulder blades down your back, look up to the ceiling, notice how the spine of the neck shortens, and then lengthen through the back of the head. Now, keeping the shoulders relaxed, just bring your hands onto your opposite elbows. You're going to inhale down to prepare. Engage through the centre of your body, and as you exhale, keep the spine long. Imagine a pole running down your back, and you're literally just going to exhale and rotate around that pole. You're using the centre of your body to create this movement. I want you to inhale into your ribs, keep the shoulders relaxed, and then exhale and come back to centre. Be careful not to use your head to create the movement, and make sure you keep your spine stacked over your hips. We're going to do that 3 times on each side. So make sure you're imagining that pole running down your spine. So you're going to inhale down to prepare. Engage through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, keep neutral all the way through. Keep the eyes looking forwards. Make sure you're rotating through your waist. Inhaling, widen to the sides and the back to the rib cage. Exhaling back to centre. And again on the other side, inhale and lengthen. Connect through the centre of the body. Exhale to rotate. Inhaling, widen to the sides and the back to the rib cage. And then exhaling to come back to centre. So that 2 more times on each side. Inhaling, connecting, lengthening. Exhale and rotate. Inhaling, widen to the ribs. Exhaling and coming back to centre. Just being aware of the shoulders rising up. Keep them drawing down your back. Inhaling, connecting, lengthening. Exhale. Keep everything stacked as you rotate round. Inhaling, widen to the ribs. Keep the shoulders relaxed. Exhaling back to centre. 1 more time on each side. Inhaling, connecting. Exhale, rotate. Inhaling, widen to the ribs. Exhaling back to centre. And 1 last time. Inhaling, connecting, exhaling and rotate, keeping the head stacked on top of the rest of the spine. Don't let the chin come forwards. Inhaling, widen to the ribs, and then exhaling back to centre. Just relax your arms long by your sides, and just inhale, gently bring the shoulders down up towards the ears. Connect through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, slide your shoulders down. Then from there, you're going to bring the feet flat on the floor. And we're just going to do a nice spine stretch forward. So open the legs slightly. Okay, you're going to start with a nice long spine. So you can actually bring the legs out to the side of the room, and you can let them relax if you're finding it uncomfortable through your hips. Start with a nice long spine and inhale down to prepare. As you exhale, you're going to imagine you're peeling your spine away from an imaginary wall. So start by lengthening out to the crown of the head, flexing down now through the collarbone, through the breastbone, through the middle of the spine. You can start to reach the hands forwards. Now, I want you to inhale into your ribs, try and keep the tummy muscles drawing back towards you, and then use those muscles to draw back, and then stack your vertebrae over your hips, lifting and lengthening all the way through the spine, relaxing the shoulders, floating the head up last, lengthening out through the crown of the head. Let's do that again. Inhale, connect through the centre of the body as you exhale, lengthening out through the crown of the head first. Now, flexing down through the spine sequentially in order. As you come up, I want you to imagine that the space between each vertebrae is increasing. So inhale into the ribs, and as you exhale, draw the tummy muscles back towards you, and now really get a sense of lengthening through the spine. Allow your spine to grow nice and tall, lengthening out through the crown of the head. 1 last time, inhaling, connecting through the centre of the body, rolling away, down through the spine sequentially. Inhaling into the ribs, keep the tummy muscles drawing back towards you, and as you exhale, you're stacking your vertebrae over your hips, lifting and lengthening all the way through the spine, stabilising the shoulders, floating the head up last, and lengthening out through the crown of the head, and just bringing that head into a nice neutral position. From there, you can just come into a comfortable position. You can be on your feet or cross-legged, whatever's comfortable for you. You're just going to now inhale and bring one arm up to the ceiling, connect through the centre of the body, exhale and come over to the side. So don't lose your connection with the shoulder and come all the way over, keep it connected. Inhaling wide to the side, the back to the rib cage, exhale and coming back down. And again on the other side. So inhale, reach up and lengthen, exhale, come over to the side. Inhaling wide to the sides, the back to the rib cage, exhaling to bring the hand down. And then just have the shoulders sliding down your back with the back of the head long. You're going to inhale down to prepare, connect through the centre of the body, and as you exhale, bring one ear over to one shoulder, and I want you to think about drawing the opposite shoulder down towards the floor. So you're increasing the length across the top of your shoulder. Inhaling into the sides and back to the rib cage, and exhale and bring the head back up to centre. And then again on the other side, you're inhaling down, connecting through the centre of the body, exhaling to bring the ear over to the opposite side, draw that shoulder down towards the floor, increasing the length across the top of the shoulder. Inhaling wide to the sides and the back to the rib cage, and exhaling to bring the head back up to centre. Well done. You've finished the beginner level of my series of DVDs, Step 1. Now, when you've done this a few times, you can progress onto Step 2, where you'll start to strengthen your core muscles even more, ready for the more advanced exercises later on. I look forward to seeing you then.